All right, now welcome back. Welcome back. That was random, but welcome back. This is a good day. Today is it's getting close to the weekend. This is Dynasty the podcast show. I am your host Ira Bush. I just want to thank you to all the people who it might not be a big group or big following, but I know the message is getting put out in the right way, in the right direction. Um, I ain't gonna talk too much about what happened yesterday. We're gonna let yesterday be yesterday. It was it was a celebration. My child's birthday was yesterday. She was born very late in on that day, so it's not a big deal. It's more today is her birthday as well. So we're gonna keep it moving. Um, Shout out to her. Big 11, I'm proud of her, as I always mention. It was actually a big day for me. I had got a lot of stuff done. Um, you know, that was random. I got no tissue. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on in the world. I got a lot of stuff brewing, trying to get everything, aligned and properly taken care of. I, this morning I had to go to a meeting and at the school board. I, we're gonna go right into more on the political community side of things. I went in there today. It was actually great. I got to speak. It was my first time. I got the whole platform. It was a perfect meeting that I got to speak. It was on. Let me see. I'm gonna say it correctly so I properly for them just for them allowing me to speak in the manner that I needed to speak and what I needed to get off my chest because I had an issue with how I was handled as a coach and just me being young. But I got to speak at the district diversity equity ADHOC subcommittee for the special projects down in Palm Beach County School Board right there located on Hills on Forest Hill. And like I said, I was originally down the street from where I originally started coaching on high school sports back in 2010. I officially became a coach in 2011. And, it's a big blessing for me, you know, just like having that opportunity. And I told a few stories yesterday about how much I've done in the community from then to now. It's grown. It's going to continue to grow. Like I said, I spoke when I was at the meeting. I got to speak on, the big screen to a lot of people, the doctors, whoever, the professors and, the very high, people in the back. So I don't think I would. I don't know if I was the first few shows I was speaking on and people blocking me from going in there and, closing it off. But I was just speaking from my heart and the truth. And this was actually the perfect meeting for me to go to. And I couldn't stay. I had to run around a little bit more because like I told you, it's always a roadblock for me to get there. So all these sheriff's offices that's doing fingerprints are no longer working with family. They claim they're not working with basically family services. And this had nothing to do with family service, but the program to where I was able to get my background for free, which is only $15. Um, I'm gonna tell a story of how I already had a copy. So I didn't. It didn't. I knew I had a copy, but it didn't register that I never turned it into anybody. That I as far as working for it was just I had to handle some stuff back in my home area to make sure people understood my family is not to be messed with while I'm over here on this coast. And it just had to, everything aligned. So long story short, let's get to how my day was with just handling business as an adult, as a parent. So I went there. They let me speak. I spoke on people that brought me in. I spoke on how what needs to. They asked me what can help prove what can bring the teachers that are that are teachers what is needed to be changed so there's more teachers that are helping with the after school program that they're trying to basically establish and make better, and all these groups that are associated with this committee, how can they help and what. And I was just letting them know The real problem is one of my problem was that we are underpaid as coaches, even though you might have a school that knows how to pay you more, especially in Florida. We are underpaid. And I was telling them the salary, and I was like, it's 5,000 for head coach, it's 2,700 for the whole year for assistants in football. And if you do the math, if we there 6 months and we run the program in a great manner, and that's the minimum. I mean, that's the minimum. You got to be there 6 months to run a great program. If you already have your establishment and you have senior leadership, you only got to be there for the season, 2 months in the off season. Then you got off season in the summer, which is if you're a veteran coach, you only got to be there for a month, 6 weeks. Just getting everything established. So it's about 6 to 7 months for a whole year. But I was like, as an assistant, I did 5 years for 2,700. Actually, the first year I just went in just to make sure I want to pick this as a career and make sure I want to be great at this. And I told my coaches that the same thing. I'm young. I didn't want to, waste their time, putting me in for 5 years. And like I said, so much fraudulent stuff going on. I'm not blaming them because they were young coaches. They still young coaches to me. I know I know how their age range between them and me is 10 years most from my coaching staff that I brought me in. And, it was 10 years or less really. And then, right now I'm still considered young coach. They still consider young coaches in the grand scheme of things. And, they could eventually even go off to college and be head coaches if, me speaking how great of the coaches they actually are and how much they have put people into college and how much lives they have changed as well. So, I feed off, they feed off what I do and I feed off what they did. And that's how I became who I am. That's how they became who they are. And I gave them they flowers when they asked me about, why and how. And I was just like, we were underpaid, but we did the most and we did the best that we could possibly do. We need the help with financial resources. I mean, now, and I was speaking on this in previous episodes about how people at the top don't really see the people who really want to be a part. Everybody not I know I can be an intellectual, I could be an intellect, but that's not what I choose. That's not what I want to do. And there's so much energy behind being an intellect. And I like I said, they got their certificate and they could teach and coach. I didn't want to go that route. I wanted to do community and to build my own community center. I don't, it's the same thing, but different, different way of getting there. And I know I'm still in the fact that I started off young, I could still get to a level or where I'm right there with them, that working hand in hand. What they was talking about is what I'm gonna be working on hand in hand with them. And I was just telling them, basically, y'all under staff because nobody gets paid, and it's been going on for a long time. And a lot of the people that want to help look like me, but they have to work. They have children, and the same with the coaches that I work with. They have children, they have families. They have to take care of themselves as well and make sure they're everything's properly done at their household. And it causes a lot of friction if everything's not running correctly. It takes some time to figure things out. And then, I was just letting them know that that's how I was, this is real. This is real conversations I had when I was a young coach. And I also ended up at the end of my 5 years at Forest Hill, the mother of my first child was pregnant. So, it was just full circle. And I was moving on to a private school. I didn't get to explain that. I had, like I said, I had stuff to go. And the way I speak, I know somebody interested in speaking to me more about, the programs that are intertwined with, this committee. And she gave me the number to somebody that I'm going to reach out to, if not this evening, tomorrow, or, just Monday morning, how, you gotta let them get their work done as well, but they probably have time. You never know. So I'll probably try, in the evening, and and appreciate them inviting me to speak. And ask, she told me to reach out to her, and I'll just let her know about whatever she needs me to speak on. Like I have a nephew that's still in elementary. I have a daughter that's going to middle school. I have a niece in middle school, and I have other nieces and nephews that are in middle school and elementary as well. And they're A+ students, and and they excel at sports as well. So I'm all for trying to build definitely after school. That's what helped me develop as a person that I am now, is I knew how important it was, because my mom worked 8 hours minimum when I was a young person, and she used to. By the time I got to middle school, she was working 8 hours, and then she would go to work in the evening as well on her side business and stuff with her husband. And it was, and that's how it was. It was like the community took care of me when I was a young child. I mean, a young adult. I mean, like teenager, going into teenage world, and and that's how I look at stuff. And that's pretty much what the meeting was about. Unfortunately, it was a 3 hour meeting that I know it was going to be very powerful, but the 45 minutes I was there was very powerful. I got to meet, and they were very nice to me, and they spoke very, it was very short, but I got to speak. If they allow you the floor to speak, is very big and very powerful. So I appreciate that greatly. So shout out to them. Hopefully, I could get to a committee, the more of their committee meetings. It is about, probably won't be as much during the summer times coming up summer. It's probably like a closing meeting, and getting stuff organized for they could get their stuff done in the summer. And but definitely next year, like I said, I'm big on my nephew. I'm gonna be with him all summer, most of the summer. And it's just gonna be that type of hand-to-hand basis. I'm gonna make sure I'm in tune with what's going on with him. And my same thing with my daughter, like I talk about Broward. Like I said, I'm gonna try again next week. I'm moving on to Palm Beach this week coming up. I'm gonna try to reach out to the mayors over there. I'm gonna reach out to West Palm mayor, Riviera Beach mayor, see what they have going on, and talk to this. More people. It's starting to really trickleate how it needs to be, and just me being who I am, I'm in the community. Once I got that done, like I was telling the story, I'm gonna move on from that. Like I said, I appreciate them. I left there. I went to the sheriff. Supposedly, it's supposed to be a fingerprint station. I went to the one on in Delray out west. I went to the one in West Palm Beach out west off Military, and both of those are like they had this drill sergeant fake sheriff guy there acting like I couldn't get they don't want to work with the community center, and they was like they don't work. The day they told me the contract, they no longer do it, and they didn't relate that message to the people in this community. And but I like I said, when I went home, I just left HCC for the radio television broadcast. I didn't get my degree yet. I'll take the online classes, take my time, no rush, no worries. I'll get through it. Like I said, it's probably gonna be like one class a year. Like one class. I know what I need to be doing. I have so much experience doing other stuff, and I need to get to that. My mind is like I need to worry about my children and worry about strengthening what I've already accomplished and get back to it. I can't waste time with that. That drain too much energy out of me, and I got to be out the way. So I'll get back to it. Like I said, it's a lot of like I said, it's not roadblocks, it's roadhawk, and that's what the title of today's show is, like being able to overcome and see above and observe what you can step over, and just stepping over it, just flying over it, over the bull crap that people put their Debbie Downer energy and they weirdo energy and they demonic energy out there for you to step into and to walk into, but you just gotta fly over it and look past it and don't mind it, because it's people that the higher being, the higher powers will always destroy those type of energies, and they will go past and be who they are going to be. And that's how I look at those things. That's why just continue to move forward. And I like, it's a lot going on, man. Like I said, I ended up, same type of energy with these people going into these shares. And I actually know, it's a lot of, like, I have relatives that are in the shares, that work for the sheriffs, like real, that worked and work for it. It goes like hand in hand right now. So once you work that long with them, I ain't saying I feel entitled. I'm just saying I actually understand what sheriff's supposed to be doing. And they don't need to try to stop me. They need to working with me. I'm not the I don't care what person in the inside. You don't have to go against me. I'm just here to do my job. You don't have to stop me. They ain't stopping your relative or person or your flight or plight or whatever you want to call it. So just get back to being to being responsible and doing what you're supposed to do. You don't need to take the incorrect orders from nobody. I don't care how much superior they is. Do the right thing, make the right reports, let people be who they supposed to be in this world. So that's just really how I need to go. Moving on, I got that. Once light bulb hit, I said, okay, I got. Last year, I actually went to the main office where the chief guy sits there right there. I gotta say I have no record in this area. Then when I went home, I went down and got my fingerprints just in case I wanted to work while I go to school or go me coach. Yeah, I didn't know how long I was gonna be up there. Even eventually coach up there. And I was like, boom, I could turn this in because they could look at it. I got all these paperwork saying that my face is good. Whatever kind of backhand black shadow world that they think they running and trying to operate my grandfather and my mother or whatever they got going on. You know how that go when you are very high level being in this world. I don't got time for it. That's I'm gonna reiterate that every time I speak on these things and these topics. And I'm not saying I feel entitled, me personally, but I know what they did. I know what they should be minding theirs and enjoying. Their old age. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't mix us up with none of that. Me and my cousin, I got a cousin that work in the school board in Pinellas County, and I'm over here getting back to what I've been doing. You get what I'm saying? So y'all need to mind y'all. Don't even associate us with no bull crap. We ain't studied. We ain't on that. We protect him at one of the, if he we got nieces, nephews, and children, and then it's him. You get what I'm saying? Our mothers and you fathers and stuff. But like that's really how I go. So we on high level 10 with it. So you just gotta mind y'all, man. That's all I could say. I ain't really here for no childish games. I was putting it out in the atmosphere. I don't have time to play back and forth games with nobody. So we just gotta remain high spirits and high guard and keep moving. Like I said, I mentioned what I have to do. I'm excited about finishing up that basketball. It's official June, I think June 3rd. We got the little tryouts, June 3rd and 4th and 5th tryouts here on the court. You can bring your child. I'm promoting it. I'm gonna be coaching. So come out here to our community center. I'm right around the corner. I stay right around the corner from the center. So, I just like this is an opportunity for me just to get back out there and do what I love to do. I got free time. I do my podcast. Try to do my podcast every day. Try to make sure I'm definitely overseeing how my child is being raised. I ain't really stunning the he say, but that's my job right now. So I'm trying to fill my schedule up and do the proper things. That's it. After that, basically overall saying in this, treat people how you want to be treated, and just like that's one of the basic things we learn in school. Treat others the way you want to be treated. Uh, hold your standards to a very mature and high level. Don't lower them, and that's pretty much it on just community and just leader and being being who you are. Now let's get to a little bit more political. Like it's a lot going on. I know I was very city based. Like I told you, I was gonna go. I hit y'all with a lot of bing, 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 bing. Then I went very detailed and straight line this week. So we're gonna go right in here, hit y'all with some stuff. Fortunately, I don't try not to put my hand in this pot like I could. Like I really could visit Washington D.C. area and the Virginia area and start taking pictures and acting real and real. Yeah, I could go that route. So I ain't go that route yet, and I'm just hoping I could stay home and y'all get the picture. You know what I'm saying? Because I got a lot of education on this. You know, they beat your head up with this Constitution 19, whatever, I mean 17, whatever year it was, and and we came over here and rediscovered. It's rediscovered now. It's not discovered no more. We rediscovered America, but it was natives here, it was African descendant people here. We could go on and on, stuff I've been talking about over and over for 2,000-3,000 years before they even came over, talking about rediscovering. And unfortunately, my DNA say that it is what it is. And like I was saying, you got to get with the program. We don't need all this nonsense going on. I'm gonna just speak on some things that's going worldwide. Okay, our president stops. You know, they stopped the tariffs for 90 days with China. China people are laughing like I was thinking they was already gonna laugh because they control the technology, they control power grids over here in these islands around the corner from some of our most powerful states. This is certain stuff that is very commonly known if you're paying attention properly, or instead of just throwing your dictatorship power, which is what a lot of the Democrat side are starting to call our president, because the way he's handling these executive orders, the way he's not going through the checks and balances, which you still got to go through we the people if you're not doing it. So it's going to start an uprise, which is going to bring up that word. What's that word that they like to throw around? Martial law. Ain't nobody paying attention to that, because once these crash dummies, they actually did an arms deal with Saudi Arabia, so they actually might start shooting niggers, and I mean, correction, they might start shooting blacks and browns, which they want to call it niggers and spics and whatever their terminology they use. The Ku Klux Klan has went over there and made a deal with Saudi Arabia, and I'm just putting out this information for y'all, and I'm just gonna keep it raw. Like, we gotta be mindful, but they still gotta realize that it's still less of them. A lot of these people on drugs. A lot of these people are going to be going for a loop. They're not going to understand what's really going to happen to them, because the people they're making deals with are the same people that they turned against when they made the deal originally in the 90s and the 80s. And it's not going to work out for them, unfortunately. So hopefully we all come together and do these things properly. The deal was like, they said it reports that they made a deal worth $142 billion in Saudi Arabia. They pinpointed several different businesses and deals that he has made over there in that area. They putting information out there on CNN and MSNBC. They also gave this guy the reports that they gave him a $400 million jet plane. That's a very expensive jet from I think it's called Equator. People calling it a bribe, propaganda, strawman stories. It could be the complete opposite. It could be something that's very useful for both sides. You never know what the real story behind that. It's a lot of hate that comes with success, so you never know if they just putting that story out to throw people off. You never know if it's very direct and straightforward and true. It's two sides to every story. I'm not being a hypocrite, or what do you call it? What's that word where you try to pick the side that you know is wrong? A narcissist. I'm not doing that. That's not the energy on. I'm just telling you how he might be looking at it. He might feel cornered, but he also put so much. What about this? Is what I'm looking at. Okay, they make that $142 billion arms deal. Who are they making it for? Are they making it for Russia, or are they making it for Germany or Ukraine or whatever they calling it at this point? Because they still talk about that so much, and they talk about them playing both sides with us playing both sides, helping this side and that side. So are they helping? Are they going to split the $142 billion worth of guns and right down the middle, and they start shooting and killing over there? Are they bringing it over here to do martial law because they're not going his way? What's going to happen? So we trying to figure out: Are you secretly planning an attack on China? I'll make something up. Just y'all want to, go all this, make all these deals and not take care of the people on the home front, far as just minding your business, minding your children, because you got a wife, trickle that down to the information to your people that's in your office. Mind your family, mind your business, mind what's going on here in the United States. Stop starting stuff with people, making deals with this side. You just was talking to France in 30 different countries. That Saudi Arabia part of that 30 different countries. Are you making a deal with these people? Are you poo-pooing the offer that they was talking with you because you didn't get your way? Are you trying to, what is it? Or what's going on? I'm not even against defense. I'm just trying to see, are you actually preparing in the proper way? Are you actually listening to what's going on? are you actually being mindful of what you might be having? Because Saudi Arabia is Saudi Arabia. They might be at war with France and the 30 countries that you were just talking to. We don't know. They might be in, you putting a tariff and they got a 90-day, tariff, no more tariffs against China. They got 90 days on that. And then you got to come over and sit with China. Are just China okay with Saudi Arabia? I don't know. Are they okay with these people? That is they okay with Africa? Is Africa okay? Well, I think it is, but you get what I'm trying to say. Is it everything lining up properly? Like that's what I be wanting to know. So I'm thinking like you gotta be as a president. You thinking continents and countries because you are federal for United States, and we not that big, but we definitely got a strong arm with the weapons and the military. I definitely know that. That's definitely not a. That's definitely not what's. That definitely is what it is. So, because a lot of people from these countries live here, and they have very successful vineyards here. So we do got a good rapport with a lot of people, but you cannot put a lot of propaganda that's gonna cause internal strife, which is what I'm looking at. Like, are y'all looking at the people that's already here? So, just make sure you mindful, make sure you take care of your home front. Stop trying to, ask for money and robbing Peter to pay Paul and paying Paul to not paying Peter. You know what I'm saying? Like, we got to get it situated correctly. So that's all I'm gonna say on that. I think I ran down pretty much the agreements, mingling. This is a report. He was mingling with some of the world's most wealthy and successful business leaders. There was not enough to discuss, but it was the discussion of geopolitical changes must be solved. So that was reported. They need to handle the geopolitical side of things and make sure they're doing proper things. And that's all I was saying. I was speaking on, and pretty much that's pretty much it. We're gonna go right into it. That's it for political and community. For sports, basketball. I'm just gonna talk a little basketball. I'm going to go see a spring game Saturday or tomorrow. I was gonna go tonight. It all depends on how I feel. Might it is one. It's a lot of spring football games going on. It's a big one with Miami and Fort Pierce Westwood and New Orleans, Miami, and I don't know if it's gonna be in Martin County or in Dade. I gotta get the information on that. That's gonna be Saturday, or I think it's gonna be tomorrow. It might be Friday at 4. I gotta look it up again. It might be Saturday, but I'm gonna look at it up. That's gonna be exciting. I want to see where that's gonna be at. Next week I'll probably go to Jupiter Christian and see how they look. And that's pretty much it. When it comes down to the NBA playoffs, OKC has a chance to close it out and meet the T-Wolves in the Western Conference Finals. The T-Wolves handled their business yesterday. It's one of them games. OKC, you could close it out. You're the number one seed. You're expected to win. You're expected to at least make it to the Western Conference. Let's see if you overcame. You can overcome handling success and getting to that next level and being in the championship round. I think SGA and Anthony Edwards are the top two young all-stars. I think both of them. I'm pretty sure Shea SGA is probably 30, 29. I definitely don't think he's over 30. He might be younger than that, 28, 29 range. So he's in his prime. And he probably rated a little bit higher than Anthony Edwards with the experience he had to go through and just earning his keep. Him being at OKC first and then getting traded and then coming back as a superstar and actually handling his business. I like this story. I like what he's doing. I like that he was a young player. He just was on the team with Westbrook and KD. I think they played 1 year together, if I'm not mistaken. I definitely know he played with Westbrook. I might play with KD 1 year. But it was a stacked team with James Harden was just leaving. Everybody had to figure out what their role was. And you being a young player, you still got to earn your keep with superstars. 3 superstars being, just the aroma of the 3 superstars at that time. So, at this point, I think, I have strong belief that they're gonna win tonight. That's just my belief. I don't know. I'm not for sure. You can go off whatever you go. Don't take this as me picking a bet or anything. Um, tomorrow we got the Indianapolis game. I mean, Indianapolis already handled their business. They already in the Eastern Conference, and the same thing with the Knicks. They got a chance to beat the last year's defending champs of the whole NBA and in the Celtics, and they up 3-2. They gonna be at home crowd. They haven't been there since 2000, 2001, one of them years, and we're gonna see like what they gonna do. Like I think it's gonna be tough beating the defending champ, but they did lose Jason Tatum. He had a torn Achilles, so they probably gonna close it out. I just remember that it happened so fast when you get these superstars getting hurt, like Steph Curry getting hurt. They didn't beat TT Wolves, so it didn't matter if he came back or not. Same with Jason Tatum being the biggest star on the team, and everybody's stacked. Jason Brunson, Karl Anthony Towns, Mikal Bridges. They got a nice duo over there. They got a nice bench with the Knicks. I'm just have to say the Knicks gonna win tomorrow. So we just gotta see. I ain't gonna keep y'all on today, man. I just wanted to keep it, consistent. Be precise on what I'm talking about now, because again, more and more detail. Like I said, I usually like. This is funny how when I was a young person, this is how my days were. Like I didn't speak on it, I didn't talk about it daily, but I used to go to practice, go home. I used to go to work. We hanging out as my friends, my little small group of friends. I'm at one of my, I'm down in Boca Del Rey. We hanging out. We go to Broward sometimes. This is when I was young. So, now I'm just like child, niece and nephew. I'm home. I go watch the game down the street. It ain't really a lot of people around me, but it's the same people around me, if that makes sense. So, I'm appreciative of everything I got and every opportunity I get to be successful and be myself. And that's pretty much it, man. Thank y'all for listening. This is Dynasty, the podcast show. I am your host, Ira Bush. Again, thank you again. I appreciate you all. And, stay tuned. Hopefully I'll do one tomorrow, Friday, one of them days. I might come in and drop one off to you. I might go to the game, report on the game. Definitely going to go see one tomorrow if I go tonight. And, we're going to see how it goes. I don't think I have too much talking to him. Like I told y'all, it's gonna be some stuff. I'm calling the mayor. I might pull up at the city halls. All that is a little different on security over here, so it's gonna be cool. I appreciate y'all listening, and I'll see y'all later.